In this video, I'm going to be philosophizing on inequities within labor concerning unfair treatment within often the workplace arising with hazards and or hazards that are threatening and or harming and or injuring individuals' essential and or necessitated underlying psychological needs. This may include poisonous and or filthy drinking water that is harming one's need for thirst, and or certain food sensitivities in terms of food one may not have meaningful access to the appropriate food and or nutrition that is meaningful to fuel one's self in order to engage meaningful work, and or in some cases engage meaningful work as a hazard associated with more negligence and or demotivation that may result in certain inequities more unique to individuals who may be higher in intellect and or hold more need for cognition, whom otherwise may be demotivated to engage repetitive and or meaningless work. There are certain inequities that arise from essential and or necessitated underlying psychological needs. Be it those needs are not met, there is an increased likelihood of distinct negative consequences, resulting in criminality and or hospitalizations and or in some cases fatalities. Individuals may die and from certain often conditions that result in famine and or the poisoning of individuals from poisonous water and or food sources. That is more common in third world nation states that are plagued with inequities within the workplace compared to the privileged first and second worlds. There are more meaningful opportunities to engage the appropriate healthy psychological functioning, essential and necessitated underlying psychological need satisfactions. Yet this should not mean one should not be cognizant of certain more deprivations and or inequities within necessitated underlying psychological needs that truthfully are not always appropriately met and may need some self-exploration to engage clear verbal and or nonverbal communication that's appropriate to negotiate the appropriate solutions to existing inequities in terms of hazards in the workplace, hazards that may pertain to distinctions within physical and or psychological hazards, not uniquely within existing external component parts in the process and processes that are non-living, meaning that free agents, individuals whom are selves, may be themselves hazards. The criminal is a hazard, whom is engaging in erratic, violent misconducts, whom is in many cases a physical and or psychological hazard, threatening individuals and or inflicting harm. The key variable in terms of constituting a hazard is the threat and or infliction of current to future oriented harm and actualizing harm. Not necessarily what is exclusive to WHMIS and what you may learn in terms of certain physical hazards, yet does not often constitute distinct psychological hazards, and or is also not exhaustive to include the physical hazards of certain individuals who may, for example, the criminal whom is with a knife, flailing the knife around in the air, more likely to engage in mechanical damage and or physical injury, is a serious threat and or therefore hazard to others around the criminal. Be it the sharp object is a physical hazard, it is more of a hazard within the possession of an individual who is erratic and or unpredictable, engaging more violent and or harmful misconducts. Threatening individuals whom need the appropriate moral and or ethical response to solve the hazard within the direct perception surrounds, engaging the volitions to think what's meaningful and or connect solutions to seek out the appropriate responses to remediate the moral and or ethical issue as one experientially encounters, to appropriately solve the hazard, to mean solve the issue one is experientially encountering that may often be the resultant of certain inequities. However, inequities that arise in the first world is most likely one's own fault, meaning one should have been more responsible for preventing and or engaging certain, should have conducted doables, yet had not, resulting in certain inequities from negligence and or erroneous, inappropriate avoidances. For example, not applying to scholarships. Scholarships are solutions to inequities resulting from disparities in income and or prior existing privileged born into families whom one may be privileged to be able to pay off tuition living in a upper class family, and or be less privileged living in a middle class and or lower class family with the need to pay off tuition for oneself. Engaging certain studying and or written work to apply to X scholarship provides certain advantages that in many cases are unique to individuals whom are lower and or middle class, to the exclusion of individuals whom are upper class, meaning that not all individuals may apply to allowance for more equitable solutions to complex problems. That's more likely to be discovered within the fair world. That is the first world, not third world nation states that are experiencing many distinct, more problematic inequities. That's all I want to say for this video. Hope you have an awesome one. Keep those up slash.